I'm Sam the Man, and this is Cody P, and welcome in to the Mountineer Effect. Today, we're going to talk West Virginia OU. If you haven't already, click the little like and subscribe button. It's down here somewhere. I appreciate all of the subscribers that we've picked up over the past 2 weeks. It's been insane. Thank you guys for your comments. I really appreciate it. I want to give big shout outs to Brett Jones, John Kelly, and Caleb Hudson. Some of my newest subscribers have been leaving great comments. I appreciate you guys. Here at the Mountineer Effect, we're all about being upfront with what we think about our teams and being pragmatic about our teams. And that's why Cody P is here. So we can talk this game and talk about it on a pragmatic level with no delusions about either team. So tell me, for OU, what's the keys to the game, Cody?
As crazy as it is to hear these words come out of my mouth, it has to be the offense. We haven't had much of an offense these last few weeks. Spencer threw for 189 against Nebraska because we just kept running the ball more against them. But, I mean, who would have ever in 2021 picked Spencer Rattler to have an under 200-yard game?
For sure.
Yeah, I think both sides – I honestly feel like this could be a defensive game because both WVU and OU have really, really good defenses. Letty Brown, yeah, he could probably still be a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you totally. I think both offenses have been a little bit stagnant. West Virginia looked really good in the first half against Virginia Tech and then just kind of petered off. But, I think the keys to the game for OU is offense. West Virginia's really struggled in putting points on the board. It is going to be a defensive game. Our front guys against your front guys. I can't wait to watch the battle in the trenches.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one, man. I mean, my thing is, growing up in West Virginia, the one thing I remember is that WVU has always been notorious for getting too complacent and riding off that high off of the Hokie win. I just kind of wonder, and I'm sure you do as well, where they stand, because as an Oklahoma fan, all I have to look at is we should have beaten Nebraska by 14, but we gave up some garbage time. We had some garbage time screw-ups, essentially, and that's why we only beat them by one touchdown. So I feel like OU is just going to want to go out and absolutely blow the back out of WVU with their offense, but it's easier said than done.
Well, and honestly, I could see this game being a blowout. I mean, I'm just being honest, guys. I really could see this being a blowout. I picked OU at the beginning of the season to represent, for a national championship this year. I still stand by that, even though they haven't looked very good. OU is one of those teams that they always start slow at the beginning of the year, and they always shit the bed, usually at the beginning of the year. And then by the end of the year, especially last year, they looked unbeatable. And I really think that's what we're going to have here with OU is as the season progresses, as long as they don't lose any games, I think they're going to be right there at the end of the year.
That's the thing, though, man, is like, if you look at what WVU's had since they've played Oklahoma, obviously the last time that you guys beat Oklahoma was in the bowl game, and both of those teams were really, really stacked.
Rip Bill Stewart.
Yeah, no kidding. So the thing with OU is that they always lose one game a year that they shouldn't. And WVU has a habit of beating teams, at least one upset a season for them. And whether that's the Hokies this year, and that, because who knows, they could have back-to-back. But that's the thing is, like you said, OU usually in the early season is when we shit the bed, with whether it's Kansas State or whoever, like we had a really close game with Tulane, really close game at Nebraska that I was at. That was a rough one to be at. So yeah, I think that's my thing though, is, WVU, they can pull upsets, but it's just, another thing is, as an OU fan, they honestly OU beats they beat WVU every year, but there's been some really close ones. So that's kind of what that it really could go either way, because if you look at some of the teams that you've had in the past, when you had Greer and Sills, you guys, like, that game was really down to the wire, and I remember watching it, and so it's just one of those things where it's like you guys have done less with more before.
And that's West Virginia's mantra, is it always has been, is to do less with more. I mean, they really have. I mean, they've got some good weapons. I think
your running back is killer.
And then, Bryce Ford Wheaton. They've got some great receivers. They've got some good young talent. The biggest thing, and I've been talking about this on all my podcasts, really, is
quarterback situation, right?
I mean, it's not so much that there's a quarterback battle between Daggy and Green. It's just Daggy has got to get back to being a game manager like he was last year and the year before. In 3 seasons, he's thrown, I think, a total, and that includes this season, of like 12 interceptions in 3 years. People tend to forget that. But at the same time, he loses the pass timer a lot.
And Daggy struggles against pretty much all Power 5. Like, he's top 5 worst in Power 5 passing average, I think. I could be wrong on that.
Well, and I don't know that stat, but that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, really, Jared Daggy, he's like the tree that's planted by the water. When he drops back, he doesn't move. He just doesn't. And
does it seem like he doesn't understand the playbook too? Like,
no, he gets the playbook and he knows how to go through his progression. I really think his major problem is he doesn't go through his progressions as fast as most quarterbacks. And I mean, if you're only off by a second or a second and a half,
that's the difference between a sack, a safety.
So whatever. I think that's probably, without having any insider knowledge or anything, that's probably from what I see where he struggles. But I do think West Virginia will use Garrett Green some in this game. I think they'll have to just give OU a different kind of look.
So he's kind of, from what I've seen, dual threat, right? Like he can run around a little bit if he needs to.
Yeah, Green is kind of a dual threat quarterback. He still struggles with some of his throwing. Really what he struggles with is decision making. He'll run when he should pass, and he'll try to make a play when he shouldn't. And that's what Neil Brown's even said himself. I think what it comes down to him is he is a redshirt freshman. He doesn't know the playbook, and that's okay. That's what you get.
I'm not trying to downplay WVU by any means, but Daggy and even Green are not in Spencer's realm. But that's the thing too, is Spencer's notorious for making bonehead plays. And like, when you look at the stats, he really doesn't show on paper. He only had 5 incomplete passes, but it just seems like they're at the most inopportune times that he tries to force shit when he shouldn't. Like the first game where he threw those picks, he tried to force the ball against 2 defenders to Marvin Mims' hands. And while Marvin Mims is most of the time he can make that play, like, you have to, with those kind of plays, you have to get it right into their hands.
Yeah. That's the thing about the West Virginia OU game, is it is hard to predict. But if you look at the Lincoln Riley era statistics, they're 3-0 against West Virginia. They average almost 57 points a game. They average 624 yards of total offense per game. They average 10.5 yards per play and complete almost 81% of their passes. Now, if you look at just those stats and then you look at the betting line for the game, okay, OU's a 15 and a half point favorite. So they're giving West Virginia 41 points, which that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. Because Neil Brown was talking about it only taking 30 to beat Virginia Tech. But the most interesting thing is the over-under is 57 and a half points. So for you betting fellas out there, take the over, because if OU's averaging 56.7 points per game against West Virginia for the last 3 years, chances are they're going to go way over the over. So take the over.
I don't know, man. I think I would take the under on that.
We've talked a little bit about the quarterbacks and, how really West Virginia and OU kind of mimic each other when it comes to the quarterback play. Like, it's a little unpredictable. Spencer ended the year on such a high note. What's the difference between last year and this year? What's got him down?
I think the big takeaway is people put so much stock into us this offseason and going into the week one and all that. And I think between that and the NIL, because out here, Spencer just got a car dealership. He's sponsored by Champs. He has a deal with Raising Cane's. So he's
living it up.
What'd you say?
He's living high on the hog.
Yeah. He's making a lot of money. He charges a shit ton of money for his autograph. But that's the thing too, is I just feel like the lack of accountability on his part in comparison to our previous QBs, because sometimes, he does take accountability when he plays bad. He'll say, I got to play better. But it does seem like he just cares about the W at the end of the day, which is, that's what you want out of a quarterback. But yeah, I don't know. I think the rat poison is essentially what happened. I think that all the newspaper clippings coming out and all this stuff coming out about OU's going to win the Natty, I think they all put a lot of stock into themselves, rightfully so. And I think this game is going to be a really good telltale of what OU's future has. And and it can test a lot for WVU as well, because if you keep it to within, imagine a touchdown game where it's just 56-49 or something like that, that says a lot for both programs.
I know you don't like to do score predictions, but I do. So
okay,
we're going to make you do one. What do you see the score being this week?
54-30, maybe. I have OU by 2 touchdowns.
Well, and I agree with you there. I've actually got the score 56-42 OU. As I said, I'm a West Virginia pragmatist. I'm not going to pick them just because I'm a homer. I'm not a homer.
You always talk about how you don't like being a fanatic.
I think 56-42 is I think that's a good score for Oklahoma. That's a lot of points for West Virginia to put up. I do think that OU's probably 2 touchdowns better than West Virginia. That's my score. That's where I'm going to stand. You can hate me in the comments. You can thumbs down the video. I don't care, because I'm just being honest. I could present situations where West Virginia beats OU, and so could Cody being an OU fan. But at the end of the day, I go off of my gut and my knowledge of the game, and I think 56-42 is about where it's going to be. Guys, I'm Sam the Man. This is Cody P, my OU buddy.
Horns down.
Hey, that's the one thing we can all agree on. If you're an OU fan, a West Virginia fan, anybody, if you're a fan of anybody, everybody loves a good horns down. Everybody.
We all hate Texas.
Everybody does. But be sure to tune in on Saturday. It's a 7:30 kickoff on ABC. Let's go Mountaineers.
Boomer Sooner.